The book was better.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Book Was Better podcast. I am Kaley Clark.
I'm Taylor Collette.
And today we have another fun special episode where we are joined for the second time by We Ship It podcast. Say hello, guys.
Woohoo! Hello.
Hello, everybody.
We're so excited to have them back. It was so much fun last time. We're gonna have
if you haven't listened to our Great Gatsby episode, you won't know We Ship It, but we love it's Steph and Devin, and we love them.
Hello, everybody.
And it's fun, really. It's a good one. Do we have any announcements?
This episode?
Really?
Oh, I mean, honestly, I think the time would be better spent talking about
my only thing is just reading calendar
movie. So
my only thing is March we were doing the Percy Jackson series, and then that finishes our reading calendar. So if you have suggestions, that's for the next chunk of the year, what we should read / watch, go to our social medias and hit us up there and let us know.
Yeah,
do it.
So we're going to be talking about Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief, book 1, with We Ship It today. For those of you who are unfamiliar with We Ship It podcast, let me give you a little spiel about them.
Are you doing a summary of us?
And then I'll go into my normal summary. So, so Devin and Steph, they're the best friends who met back in elementary school, right? Like y'all have
pretty
friends,
much
best friends forever, like in true fashion. And like Devin, I know you were like in Steph's wedding, like seriously, just like super tight. So Devin's a teacher.
This is true.
English teacher, right?
Yep.
There we go. My kind of person.
The English.
And Steph works for a non-profit. Listen, I'm just. This is going as well as my book summaries go. But both of them really love books and movies, and so they would have conversations amongst the two of them about like their favorite couples and things like that from movies and books. And then they were like, hey, let's make it a podcast. So then they did, and they made it a podcast. And that podcast is called We Ship It podcast. And so they go through and they talk about couples, like favorite couples, not so favorite couples from different books and movies. And talk about, like, and they ask questions about the dynamics there. Hold on, I have to put a necklace on my 4-year-old.
Yay.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
There we go. They're playing dress up, I'm fine with it.
Of course.
It's essential.
It's fine. You're good. Oh, it got caught on your hair. I'm sorry. There you go. Is that better? Okay, go play in your room, please. Okay. Back to the spiel.
I need you to summarize my life.
Yeah.
Please.
Devin was born. I'm just kidding.
And I don't know, a year.
But we love their podcast.
Hey, we love you guys.
We were on an episode where we talked about Harry and Ginny from Harry Potter.
That was so fun.
A couple of my other favorites, though, are I do really like the Ben and Leslie Knope episode.
Thank you.
That's a classic.
It's a good one.
They just did, and it just blanked. I know the play and the musical.
West Side Story.
West Side Story. I'm like, the title left my brain. They just talked about West Side Story because that new movie came out and stuff, and that one I'm not quite finished listening to it, but I'm close. Again, children interrupt me. So
fair enough.
But it's really good. And so if you're not familiar with them, go check them out.
Lovely.
Thank you guys. And we can't wait to have you on to talk Percy Jackson too, because
yes,
there's much to talk
yes.
about.
I think you guys are our season 4 opener. So
I think so.
There we go. Talking
We
Percy
are
and
honored.
Annabeth.
Another
we're
one
just
of my
we're just covering
OTPs.
Taylor's favorite OTPs.
This is
so
great.
excited.
Perfect.
We talked Harry and Ginny, and now we're talking Percy and Annabeth, and those top her list. So,
Awesome.
I mean,
Fantastic.
living the dream.
but I mean, Lizzie and Darcy, you guys already talked about them. So
yeah, sorry, we didn't have you on.
mine have already been covered. It's fine. Okay, cool. Well, I guess we'll jump into the main portion of our program today, which is the Lightning Thief. So
Yes.
little background, right, on Percy Jackson and the Olympians. It's such a long freaking title.
It is.
I always forget that it's Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the
And
Lightning
then,
Thief,
yes.
or the blah blah blah. Like it's
But no one ever says that.
No, it's Percy Jackson.
Or if
Yeah,
anything,
so-
like you just specify the book, like you say, the Lightning Thief, the half,
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
Half-Blood Prince. No,
that
The
one,
Half-Blood
yes.
Brats.
we're mixing fandoms. Okay.
yeah,
Crossworld.
But the Lightning Thief book was published in 2005, and then the movie came out in 2010. So that's a pretty common turnaround we see.
Was it only 2005? That's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Did I get the date
See,
wrong?
No,
I don't
I
think
believe you. I'm
so.
just surprised.
No, it's 2005. Yeah.
no,
No,
because
Wow.
I
That's part of
myself
the
did that
reason-
too. Because I was like,
that's part of the reason that
doesn't
this
seem long enough.
series is so special to me, is because like I was just about the age of the kid, like of Percy when
yeah.
it came out.
you
Like
were 10 when
Harry
it came out.
Potter I read later, you know, like it was coming out beforehand, and I still love it. But like Percy Jackson was my series that I like saw the books come out and like waited for the releases and stuff. So
That's so fun. Did
Very
they have
cool.
any premiere parties at like Borders or Barnes and Noble for it?
I
just
think
feel
they
like
had
those
one
were
at Barnes
fun.
and Noble.
Yeah.
I miss those.
I miss them
Taylor
too.
was a little young for the early books.
Yes.
But we didn't really do that. But by the end, by the later
Yeah.
books, we were older. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
And
didn't start reading these when they first came out. Taylor started reading them first, and then she was like,
I owned them.
hey, why haven't you read these? And so then I started reading them from her like
Okay.
personal library in her
Aw.
room.
Yeah, and you said that Lightning Thief is your like comfort book, right?
And then Lightning Thief has become like one of like I have multiple copies because that original copy I got like has been with me like a decade, and I bring it
Wow.
with me on trips, and I reread it over and over again, and it's trashed because it's been to the beach and it's been in many an airport bag and
Many
like,
an airport.
yeah,
Many
so-
an airport bag.
so it's pretty wrecked looking, but it's like still the copy I go to when I want to reread it because it's just
Right.
it's worn in
That's awesome.
like a loving way.
I love that.
It's just such a fun read. Like we just did Pride and Prejudice, which
Mhm.
love
Which
it.
is another one of my comfort reads. Don't get me wrong.
Me too.
It is not. It's not an easy read.
No.
Like I had to
No.
use
Taylor
my
does not
brain.
get it.
I had to use my brain to read that book.
Yeah,
Percy
I
Jackson,
had
not
a
hard.
I had
I
a
could
high
read in
school
my
girl
sleep.
try and read it, and I was like, "How are you doing?" She's like, "Yep, it's going."
I think.
So I just love that Percy Jackson is so accessible. Like it is just. I mean, it was written for like preteens, so obviously.
Yeah, it's a mid-level like reader. Like
Right.
it's
Right.
Yeah.
But
But
it's
the
still a good story.
storyline is so good.
Yep.
well, and just
It
the way
is.
it's written, it's clever and it's enjoyable regardless
yeah.
of how old you are.
That's true. No,
Yeah,
and so you guys, we'll talk more about this later, but you know, it was my first experience with Percy Jackson.
Which
reading it for
we
this.
tease stuff
crazy.
about endlessly. so-
I know. Like, please tease me. I deserve it at this point. But at the same time, like, I think it gave me a different perspective on it than you guys probably have, because you had like that nostalgic, like that's Harry Potter for me. It's like nostalgic enough that I literally could read it and miss a few lines and know what I've missed, like exactly.
Mhm.
But so I'm hoping that maybe like over time, I'll spend a little bit more time with Percy Jackson. I'm trying to let the movie not ruin it for me as I go. When did the movie come out in comparison with the first
So the
book?
movie came out in
2010.
2010. So yeah.
So like,
it was
okay.
just
5
and
years.
that's like a really common turnaround.
Yeah.
Like as we've been doing this podcast, and like I always, look up when it was published, when the movie came out.
Right.
Like
Sure.
5 years is like the norm.
Yeah.
Like a book gets published, if it does well, 5 years later it's a movie.
About a movie. Yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
That's crazy. It is like when we were growing up. That's like the time frame we were growing up. So it's just one of those like young adult books,
Which
that
is
grew with
why
us.
I'm like, how did you not read it sooner?
I don't know how.
just
I don't
don't.
know how. And I knew people were. I don't know if I just was like, I'm fine with Harry Potter. Like, I don't need any more. But
Another
wish I did.
young teen boy going through
I
a
think
like self-prophecy kind of adventure.
Perfect.
Don't need it.
right.
It's like, I'm covered.
I'm pretty sure I read The Lightning Thief when I was in high school, middle school, but I never read any of the other ones in the series.
Hmm.
Oh,
No,
okay.
until now, Devin?
Until now,
This is your
yeah,
first
correct.
time? Oh.
Yeah, because we're reading it for
crazy.
our podcast, obviously.
That's
Yeah.
crazy
Like,
to
they're
me.
good. So yeah, no, it's a series that Taylor's read it way more than me, but I've reread the first book more than the rest of them. Just
Yeah.
again, because it's just like go back to it. But
See,
Yeah.
and
All of them are
I own this whole series. I own the Kane Chronicles series. I own the Heroes of Olympus series.
Yeah.
I
Say the
purchased the
Heroes of
Kane
Olympus.
Chronicles series all because of you.
I remember
Yeah,
on
that.
my shelf.
Devin.
Remember you like sent a picture like on Instagram or something.
Yeah.
You're like,
Because
it
of
was
you.
in the bookstore. Like,
Yep, had to do it.
Yep.
Well, are you
It's so
particularly
good.
into mythology? Like, is that
no,
why
both
you
of
think?
us are.
Okay.
Oh,
I was
Yeah.
gonna say
That's our
because
mini.
have you heard those like things where it's like as a kid you were either a dinosaur kid, like a mythology kid, or like a horse kid? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yep.
those are the categories. And it's like we were mythology kids. Like
yep.
I remember checking books out in my school library, the local library. Just I ate mythology and like myths up, Greek, Egyptian, like it didn't matter. So
Yep.
The thing is, I never stopped. I studied mythology in college.
Yep.
So
Did you really?
she was a
Yeah.
classics major.
Classics.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
She took
that's
Latin.
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Wait,
it-
did
it
you read
never
like
stopped.
Virgil and everything? Like,
Yep.
yep.
I read
So
Gilgamesh.
that's why this is probably even more.
I'm trying to
you
think
know.
of what
yeah,
other ones
like
I read.
this started me on like a lifelong
journey.
journey.
Yes.
A quest of her own, you make.
Amazing.
So
That's awesome.
it holds a very special place in my heart.
I love that.
Yeah, and I was counting
it's
the
a
other
good
day
one.
how many mythology type books I have on my shelf, and they're a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have like
Because
all the
I have
pretty
like academic
Barnes and
books
Noble
about
Yeah.
ones.
Mhm.
Like the Barnes and Noble like collection where they have like the pretty covers on
Yes.
The
them.
nice leather.
You can get
Yeah.
them from Costco too. Costco does those cool like anthologies that are really pretty.
Oh
I
yeah.
have a Jane Austen one.
I'll have to go to Costco.
Giving away
Wait,
all
there's
their
a Jane
good
Austen one?
bargains.
Mhm.
Oh,
Pretty.
I love it.
Steph is on board now.
Yeah.
I'm going to Costco.
I get a lot of books at Costco. It's like a temptation every time I go.
Yes.
But continuing with this the
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a
spiel here.
long intro. I'm sorry,
So-
guys.
sorry, guys.
We didn't even get to the summary yet.
So
No.
this is something I find interesting, and I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent again based off of this. So the director was Chris Columbus
Hey,
same
we know
director
him.
Is that the fifth?
for the first Harry Potter.
The
Oh, the
first, the
first-
one
the
that
first
was
Harry
like
Potter.
so good.
Hmm.
Yeah.
This is
Screw it
this
up.
is why it doesn't compute. He did such a good job with the first Harry Potter movie,
Yeah.
and then this movie is an abomination.
Atrocious.
So,
bad.
I mean, not to give spoiler
I
alerts on my
wonder-
feelings here, but
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing at all.
Did he do the
But, like,
second
what
Harry Potter
happened?
movie too? Was he the first
Yeah.
two or okay?
Yeah.
And he
Yeah,
did
he did the
so
first two.
amazing.
which
Yeah.
when I mean, and granted, they are also the shortest two Harry Potter books.
Right,
Yeah.
fair enough.
So like when we talked
But
the
this
Harry Potter
book
series,
isn't long.
I know exactly,
No.
which is why again the confusion. I just don't get it.
I'm confusion.
I am confusion. He did so good with the Harry Potter, and this is another very well-known, loved series,
and very
that, like,
similar.
They should have known
face.
would have, and they did it right with the Harry Potter series where they got kids the right. Listen, we're gonna get into it later, but just something to note that the director is the same director from the first couple of Harry Potter
That's
movies.
very interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I now have very mixed feelings about him.
Right?
Yep.
Then the screenplay was done by Craig Titley. So maybe we've got Titley here to blame that for everything.
Thank you,
Titley. Yeah.
I have qualms.
Titley.
Many qualms. The music was done by Christoph Beck. Again, can't really complain about the music. It was good.
Yeah, I mean,
fine.
And then the casting director was Kathleen Chopin,
which she did her job well if she was given orders by like the gods above, meaning the director.
Yep.
Yeah,
she did her job really well if they were
actors.
already filming the 5th or 6th.
Yep. That is exactly right. They were too old.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into it, but
we'll get into that too.
So there's our little lineup for this movie. Brief summary. Percy Jackson is a demigod. Okay, his mom's immortal. His dad is Poseidon, Greek god, and the Greek gods have continued to exist in their own realm amongst other. It's very interesting the way that Rick Riordan sets it all up. Very clever. And basically, Percy, because he's the son of the big three, which are Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, he's got even more hardships to deal with than your average demigod, and is sent on this big quest to try and clear his name because he's been accused of being the thief of Zeus's lightning bolt, but he did not do it. He is innocent.
I did not.
And leads to this whole quest and the discovery of like an even bigger plot boiling below the surface down in Tartarus. So,
but which
Kronos
wasn't mentioned at all in the movie.
No,
correct?
it was not. Not mentioned at all in the movie. So, which means they have to do some weird thing in the beginning of the second movie to kind of like progress it. It's bad. It's bad. But yeah, so that's the basic spiel. The book and movie differ greatly, and that's what we're going to get into now. So we're going to go Devin, Steph, me, Taylor, and we'll just round robin this ish. And it's like, this is a clean podcast. And because there's 4 of us, we're each just going to do a top 2 grievances.
Right.
But of course, we're still going to have to mention honorable mentions and things.
There are plenty.
It's necessary.
So there's an endless amount of things to talk about. So,
but before we get into this, take a minute, grab some tea, hot cocoa, maybe a blanket, a dog if you have one. This episode's gonna be
You're
long.
gonna need it.
This episode's
gonna be a
grab
long
a snack.
Yeah. Get ready because
lock your door so that if you
dive.
get just as upset as we do, that your family's not like, what is happening?
Lock the door.
Like, just close yourself away.
Go into your favorite room.
Because
we're about to go there. No,
please.
Okay. Devin, why don't you get us started?
All right. So the first one that I have, so this is my top, this is my second one, right?
Number 2.
Is just the lack of detail included in the movie overall. There are certain characters that are removed. I don't think there's any characters that are added, but they just lack in detail of building the world and setting the rest of the stage for the series. So for example, there's no Ares.
No.
There's
which
no
is
battle
a huge
with
part
Ares.
of the book.
Yeah.
So big.
Yeah. No battle with Ares. There's no Thalia's tree. Now, let me catch your pronunciation. Is it Thalia, Thalia?
Talia.
Talia.
I've always said
I've heard it so many ways.
Thalia is how I read it as a child, and so that's how it's always going to be in my brain.
It is a spelling of the name Talia.
Talia, that's what I thought. But when I was listening to the audiobook had said Thalia. Yeah, I was like, you're lying to me.
It was so weird.
Okay, well, if you listen to the audiobook for Aragon, they say Saphira's name weird. So
really? How do they mess that up?
Like
Sapphira.
Hermione all over again.
Voldemort.
Okay.
Voldemort.
Anyways, so Talia's tree is not there. There's no Mr. D.
Wait,
Dionysus.
What?
How do you not have Dionysus? Just
what?
Dionysus. Yeah.
Yes.
And then they set up names. Okay. They set up Hades as this rock star like persona.
What?
I hate it.
They also have to, because they don't have Ares, they have to make Hades be the enemy in a sense.
Yeah.
But he's not the enemy.
Also because they don't include that
Kronos.
Actual overarching enemy, which is Kronos. Yeah.
Correct.
They don't include
So they have to set Hades up as the big baddie, which doesn't, I mean, it makes sense in the movie. But
they could have made Ares the big baddie.
Yep.
Yeah.
If they really needed one of the gods, like because let's say they didn't know they were going to get future movies. They're like, we need to make this all inclusive, just summed up in one movie.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just take out Kronos, but Ares, he already has.
Ares was already a bad guy in a sense.
Yeah. A bad guy. Like, why did you need to take Ares out and suddenly have Hades be the bad guy? That's so like, I feel like that's so typical Hollywood that they're like, well, Hades is always the
my own
like, no.
Yeah, prejudices and biases here are gonna come out, but like poor Hades already gets like villainized way more often than he deserves.
As they got to the underworld.
He's just down there minding his own business in the underworld. He infiltrates in the land of mortals least often. Okay, like leave him alone and let him be himself, which is not an evil guy. It's just about his lot in life.
I'm about 30 minutes to finishing the Battle of the Labyrinth, and this is where Nico was already introduced, but now Nico is reintroduced. And he says, like, I have to be alone because that's like I'm the son of Hades, like, and Hades is meant to be alone. Like he's not acknowledged, he's neglected, and it's very sad.
Yeah,
it is.
Well, that's just it. Is Rick Riordan, even in his books, recognizes that with Hades and with Persephone. Like, the fact that right out the bat they're like, oh yeah, because he traps Persephone and Persephone hates it there. But I'm like, that's
they add Persephone. Why'd you add Persephone?
And you made Persephone kind of like
weird and sexy and like
and snarky and like rude and mean and like not Persephone, the goddess of spring. Like
the goddess of spring.
You have one job.
Honestly. And like
I they took a ton of shortcuts.
I feel like they did the underworld a disservice because like it was so funny in the book when you get there and there's like the guy in the beginning who's like, can you talk to Hades about like my employment status or whatever,
salary,
health insurance? And I'm just like, where is that like humor in the underworld?
They took out so much humor.
They did. Those details are missing, which like I think is a huge I don't know, it just like makes it more, you jump into it a little bit more in the book, I feel like. Whereas when you're watching the movie, it's kind of like, I don't relate to this at all. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and it's
like there's
Hades
anything else
in the book even mentions, he's like, why would I want a war? Like, I am already overwhelmed with all the souls down here.
I already have too many dead people. Too many.
I don't need more work. This is not my war. Like, I don't want this. And you're like, yeah, that makes sense. That checks out.
You're like, I'm with you, Hades. I get it.
I don't want more work either.
Trying to think if there's anything other bigger ones. Oh, so and then Percy disobeys Chiron. To go on the mission. Where the quest. Excuse me. I don't want to mess up the the terminology.
Very different.
But yeah, so he changes his character and like he disobeying someone that he like
and then like
looks up to.
At the end, when Chiron's like, "You disobeyed me, which is why you're my favorite student because you followed your instincts." I'm like, bullcrap.
BS.
That is not
BS.
That is not Chiron.
I'm a teacher. I know that when someone disobeys me, that's not my favorite.
Yeah,
that does not make them
like
your favorite.
Sanctioned, like official quest, which is like a really big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like one of my honorable mentions. It's like they have no oracle, no prophecy.
Oh, I know.
No, nothing.
Which is the whole point of it's like sets up the whole plot.
Yeah.
Meh. Anyways, I think that's generally. There was a lot of things that were lacking from detail of
like
the
crucial
plot.
details, not just like random details. These are like important.
Like these
details.
are important.
Like I wrote this down when he was like fighting Luke at the end of the movie. I was like, they could have had a dope battle between Percy and Ares, a literal god, and they're like, nah, let's have Luke in his flying shoes.
Right.
I know. I'm gonna get to that.
I was like, the poison scorpion like is such a
You're
more
talking
poetic.
about Devin's point. Stop talking.
Sorry. It's more poetic.
We went over all of our points before this to avoid that.
Did we? Look,
you're doing great.
You're doing great. Well, like this was a relatively star-studded cast. Like I don't think it was a low-budget film. So it's like, why did you take out?
They had Pierce Brosnan.
I'm pretty sure who did it.
I know.
They did have Pierce Brosnan.
Like
they also had Sean Bean.
I know.
Yeah, Sean Bean is Zeus.
And who is Persephone? Persephone was someone famous too.
She's the one from Rent, right? What's her name?
Yeah, she's in a lot of things.
Yeah. I don't know why I recognized her, but I was like, I know you. I've seen you before.
Yeah. So I'm this
had a big budget. It was
it was
big.
the head
It had
person,
Rosario
Percy.
Dawson.
Rosario
That's
Dawson,
who I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like, dude, like.
And who is Percy?
You didn't. Percy. He's
Logan
Lerman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which he was pretty big for that time.
Yeah, Annabeth, the actress for her, also. I mean, she was like
she went on to do a lot of things after.
Yes, she did.
Film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Alexandra Daddario.
Yes.
Is her hair naturally that color?
Her hair is naturally brown, which is very annoying because Annabeth has blonde hair. And normally, it's like small appearance changes don't always bother me. But when it's like a point in the story, it's like Harry's green eyes, right? Like,
which they screwed up
in the story that his eyes are green like his mom's.
Yeah.
So then, like, it's important then in the film for that to match, and that never happened.
Again,
her gray eyes and crazy curly blonde hair is mentioned so much in the books from Percy. Like Percy, like it's just like a point for him about.
Also,
her.
she never uses her baseball cap.
Which I'm not super mad about because like I don't like the Yankees, but like it is a part of her personality.
They could have changed the team.
All right, we'll move on.
It didn't have to be the Yankee.
Just make her a Cubs fan. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Stephanie, what's yours?
Wait, did you go through 2 points already, Devin?
No.
No, just one.
We're doing round robin.
Oh, okay.
I messed up.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, no,
you're good.
Taylor threw us all off.
No, you're good.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
I think I'm going to start in the same vein as Devin with my second point, which was just the word Clarice. It was just Clarice. Where the heck is this girl? Like, this is a huge part of the plot. It's like his rival. It's like as if Harry Potter was done without Malfoy. You know what I mean? Like, you need Clarice. And what I think that they tried to do, Devin kind of explained this to me, is make Annabeth a little bit kind of like Clarice in that she was like feisty with him at first. I don't want that. Like Annabeth in herself is perfect as she is. Like we're going to talk about this in our episode too, about how her and Percy kind of get on. And I just think that get along.
And we're going to talk about Percy and Annabeth from the book, right? Not the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yes. We should because, and like, whatever, you know, I miss Clarice in this movie, I think. Mm-hmm. And like, I haven't seen the second one yet, like I said, so I don't know if she like comes in randomly.
But in the entire series, book-wise, Clarice is super important. So
she is important.
Do you cut her from the first movie?
Yeah, the second one. The second one is her whole quest.
Yeah. It's her quest, and like to not like build up the tension between them, like it's like, just kind of a foolish mistake.
Such a big deal in the second one.
Yeah, she is.
And they're just like, yo, yeah, I guess she's important now.
I know. I'm like, you should have recognized this from the beginning. And I don't know.
The second book was out by then.
So that's what I was just gonna ask. I was like, maybe it wasn't, but totally.
3 of the books were out by then.
Yeah.
Then I just shake my head.
By 5 years later, he published at least 3 or 4 of the Percy Jackson books at that point.
So
they were coming out pretty quick.
I just think she was a really important character who she led along the plot. It's not like she was some random background character. She led parts of the plot. So she should have been in the first movie.
She led parts of the plot. She led to the point of Poseidon claiming Percy as his son.
Yeah,
which also doesn't happen.
My second point.
Yeah,
my second freaking point. But I just, that's all there is to say. There's not like much else to say about it besides that she's needed.
And like obviously they only did the 3 movies. Like they never got 4 and 5 because they were so bad and everyone hated them. But
don't know how they even got the 3. Let's be real.
No. In the end, like in the 5th book, final battle, I'm just gonna jump ahead. Clarice again, very important. I won't spoil too much. But again,
oh my gosh, the 5th movie, so we'll never talk about the 5th book anyway.
That's true. That's really funny. But like, she's crucial.
She plays a critical role up until the very end. So like, it's so annoying that she's not even in this one.
And they become like frenemies.
Yeah.
I know. That's the real reason.
Yeah. And like, just leave Annabeth to be Annabeth. I don't need a Clarice Annabeth
I did
mashup.
not like that she was the fighter in the
when they like had
the flag
capture
scene.
the flag. I hated that scene.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And it's like there's like
in the book,
immediate
isn't Annabeth on Percy's team?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think she gets mad at him.
Yeah, for
abandoning his post.
Yeah.
Because she's the strategy. Luke's the fighter and she's all the strategy.
Yeah. And they over romanticize them when they first meet. It like feels like there's that like tension there already. Like they're looking at each other. I'm like, they're 12, first of all. And second of all, like this is not how they meet. When they meet, it's sort of like, oh, like he's interested, but he's not like
almost like a meet cute because he's still delirious from fighting the Minotaur.
He's not just like,
and she's feeding him ambrosia.
You drool while you sleep.
The classic line, and it's not even in there.
Yeah,
I know. So that's my grievance. So I don't know if you had anything else to add. Yeah,
kind of feeds into my number 2, which is the age change.
Yeah,
like the fact that they jump immediately to being 16 in the movies is what's the matter? Take that off. Okay, sorry. My 2-year-old can get in the dress-up dresses, cannot take off the dress-up dresses.
Understandable.
Okay, here you go. Take it with you. Take it with you. Thank you. But yeah, so the books, we keep comparing these to Harry Potter, but like
it's inevitable.
It's similar. It's like in each book, he's a year older, and it starts when they're 12.
Yep.
Okay, they're 12 years old.
Yeah.
The movie immediately makes them 16.
6th grade. They never.
Now, are they actually 16 in the movie, or they just look 16 and they're supposed to be 12? Is it addressed?
No, they aged them.
They're actually 16.
They aged
They're
them
in
up.
high school.
And then when they do eventually decide that they're going to introduce the prophecy, they change the prophecy to 20 years old.
Yeah.
Instead of 16.
They have to. Yep.
But it's like, because they have to, because they cast it all wrong. But like, the ages are so important.
Hold it back. Hold it back.
It's just like, I get really hyped up about the age thing in the Harry Potter series too.
Yep.
It's like, don't make people older. Like, we make people young for a reason. Like, it's impactful. Like,
you see their
growth
going
through this quest as a 12-year-old versus a 16-year-old.
Right.
Being 16, especially if you can pass as 18, people are going to leave you alone. They're going to let you go on your way and do your own thing. You can drive. You can do all these things, you know, like you pass as an adult enough that not a 12-year-old, not a group of 12-year-olds. Like,
one of who's a
save the world.
Traveling on the bus on their own and like trying to make it literally across the country because they're trying to get to California. Like it impacts the storyline, it impacts the growth, and then it also impacts the characters themselves and the relationships.
Yeah.
Which I'll talk more about in my number one. But I will just say, like, specifically, Annabeth in the movie bothers me in so many ways. But part of that is because they still tried to make her act like this kind of like stubborn, you know, like, oh, I'm not going to like you because my mom doesn't like you kind of thing, which is fine in a 12-year-old, but you wouldn't expect a 16-year-old to act that way. Like,
be that petty.
Because a 12-year-old is still learning and growing and developing their personality and understanding how their choices and how they're able to, you know, perceive the world differently from their parents. You know, when you're 10, 11, 12, like a lot of your beliefs are the same as your parents. By the time you're 16, you've had enough experience on your own that you start to form your own opinions.
Yes. Yep.
So don't make a 16-year-old have this attitude of a 12-year-old. It's so annoying. She bothers me so much. Like,
that's actually a really good point. Like, you just don't expect her to be so snotty. And she kind of is, and it takes you 16, out of it.
Yeah, because by the time she's 16 in the books, you've gone through this growth and she's gone through this, you know, all these experiences that she's completely different than she was when she was 12, you know?
But
you don't get that in the movies.
No.
And that age change affects all of it, right? It affects Percy's characterization. It affects all of theirs, but
well, I mean, the
Annabeth
whole,
specifically just really got under my skin. So
the whole premise, like that Rick Riordan, when he created this world, is like the older the kids get, like the more at risk they are of like being discovered and getting killed by monsters. So to think like, oh, but these guys survived until 16 and we're just fine.
The fact that Percy survived until 16 without any intervention, not knowing who he was,
nobody telling him,
it's not believable.
No,
it's not believable.
Yeah, I think another thing it changes is Percy's dynamic with his mom and Gabe. Like, as a 12-year-old, you can't really stand up to your stepdad, right? Like, it's sort of something you just have to live with. But when you're 16, it's like, okay, like
punch him in the face.
Punch her in the face. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, it doesn't seem as bad. Like, I don't want to say like it's not as bad, but it doesn't seem to impact him as much as a 16-year-old in this movie that it did in the book. Because I feel like he's talking about how much he hates Gabe like all the time in the book.
And even his mom's reasoning for why he has to stay with Gabe doesn't necessarily match, because he wouldn't believe that. Like, oh, you don't understand. Like, like no, a 12-year-old wouldn't understand. A 16-year-old, you could probably tell him.
Yeah, you got to be like, Mom, what's up? Like, but
like, I'm about to call the police. Like, what are you doing?
For real.
Exactly.
So I don't know.
You just laid hands on me. I'm a minor. I'm gonna go call the cops.
Right. Right. Like, it impacts a lot more. Yeah, it impacts a lot more than I think you'd even realize, like, that their age. And that's a significant, I mean, each year you grow a lot more when you're a preteen than you do. Like, if you're getting from 20 to 26, it's much different than going from 13 to 16, you know?
Yeah.
But
that's my second one, which is still a pretty big issue with me, if you can't tell.
All of them are.
All that angst.
Okay.
My children are being so loud.
So my number one.
Okay.
Taylor's gonna start talking about her number two. I'm gonna go check in.
Oh yeah, my number two. So mine is, and this is how I said when I sent it to the other. I said they added modern where it shouldn't be and took away modern where it should be.
Yeah.
Let me pull up my notes so I can go through all the specific instances. First of all, Percy in the museum rocking some headphones while Chiron's giving a lecture. What? Like, no. of course, Mrs. Dodds is gonna be like staring at you. If I was a teacher, I'd be like, "You punk, take those headphones out of your ear and listen to your teacher."
Yep.
Like, what are you doing?
Right.
Honestly.
Second, so I thought that was annoying, especially because he's supposed to like Chiron, Mr.
exactly.
Bruner.
It's supposed to be like his only teacher that he like
the only
respects.
class he enjoys and like wants, like kind of finds interesting and tries to like do well on the tests. Like, he wouldn't be listening to headphones and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, were you talking to me? What did you say?" Like, no,
right.
That's not Percy. Second, when they get to Camp Half-Blood and he wakes up in an infirmary,
I know.
They don't have an infirmary. People aren't constantly getting injured.
Getting killed.
Like, what?
Or injured.
He wakes up in a house, in a bed, like pretty chill.
That, and then go grab something else.
And then where are my orange t-shirts? Where are they? They don't all
They could have made a
running
profit
and the
off
beads.
of those.
And the beads.
Yeah. Where
For
are
every
they?
Oh
year
yeah,
you have
yeah,
camp.
the necklace.
Yeah, the necklace. You get one bead for every camp year
For every
like
summer.
something significant that happened. And it's a bright orange t-shirt that says Camp Half-Blood on it with the little Pegasus. It's super fun. And it makes it feel more like a summer camp. Like, it's
Because it's
fun.
children. Did anybody else notice the fact that everybody at that camp was at least 16?
Yep.
Yeah,
And they're
all
all
looked like
wearing like
adults.
battle armor constantly.
All the time.
all the time. Like, I guess they didn't have a budget for children actors because they got so many like big actors
Children
for
actors
the other
are cheaper
parts.
than adults. What do you mean?
I
they didn't have
know.
a budget?
Anyways.
Child extras oftentimes don't even have to pay them. It's just like a fun thing.
Yes. Yeah.
So I just
We get
especially
pizza
for
at the end of
Percy
this?
Jackson,
Just
like,
feed 'em.
you know, kids would have been signing up to be in the Percy Jackson films.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so it was just
You should have seen the
they
line of
wanted
people who wanted to be an extra in High School Musical too,
Yeah,
in
that's
St.
true.
George, Utah, where
Yep.
we lived when they filmed High School Musical.
Oh my
Seriously.
gosh. Get out.
Yep. We went to an audition.
We have friends who were in like major aspects of that film.
That's
Wow.
amazing. Dude.
Anyways, fun little claim to fame there. We know people that were backgrounds.
No. I know one of the people who were in the baseball scene. He was one of the dancers
Oh, the baseball scene. A
Ooh.
good
in the
one.
dance. The I don't dance where the baseball
I
dancers
don't
dance. That's a different
Anyways.
thing. But
Anyway. So what really bugged me about, I mean, one, no orange t-shirts. That's so boring. But two, like, it's supposed to be a
The
summer camp.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's more serious. Yes, they're always
with
taking
all
on
the
risk, like,
cabins in a nice horseshoe shape
low
around the
horseshoe
main
shape,
and center, like
and
campfire.
the strawberry fields, and
Yep.
like
They're not
they
in a
are
forest.
supposed to have fun.
Yep.
Like it's
It's a
supposed
clearing.
to be like, yes, they're training to fight if they ever like go on a quest or if they have to protect themselves, but it's not like they're constantly preparing for war. Like
Right.
that's what it felt like.
It did.
And like, who were they battling so intensely that they constantly had like 20 kids in the infirmary? Like, at that point, Chiron, you need to adjust. the way you run
reevaluate
your camp.
your
Your training
assessments.
regime there, bud.
Because it is essentially Chiron's camp at this point because there is no Mr. D
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
running the thing, which is also annoying because he's hilarious and he could have
He
been
is.
so good.
Yep.
So yeah, so they had like the whole dramatic parts of that. And then he gets, he doesn't get the quest. He decides to go on this quest illegally.
Illegally.
Yeah, he chooses to go on the quest. Poof.
It's not even
And
a
then-
sanctioned quest. It's not a quest at this point
No.
because it's
Yep.
not sanctioned and,
then-
there was no oracle. He
Yep.
just decides to
Luke.
leave. That's all it is.
Yeah, and then Luke lives in his own hut, not in the Hermes hut,
Yeah.
and has like video games
Like
and like
7 TV screens.
what?
Seriously.
Like
He's
there's
playing
no
Xbox.
technology.
He's playing Call of Duty. Like,
Yeah. Like there's not supposed to be technology at Camp Half-Blood. That's like a big
technology
thing.
attracts monsters.
Yeah, that's like a huge part of it.
Idiots.
And it was like, so they like
So
took away
stupid.
the modern camp aspect, but then added like, but he's got an Xbox. Like,
right.
Ooh.
No.
Welcome to the modern world. Like, that's not Luke.
Yep.
No.
And also, Luke doesn't have a scar, and that bothers me.
True.
Yeah,
I know.
And then we keep going. I got more.
Never ending.
They get on the road and they like immediately essentially are at on TMs, and they skip over the fact that like she's supposed to like invite them in and like feed them food. Like, your poor 12-year-olds who like are traveling alone. Here, you probably haven't eaten for days. Let me like give you some burgers and fries. And they're like, yes, please, thank you. And then
they're naive 12-year-olds, so they're trusting.
They're like, yeah, great, free food sounds good. So that's another thing. And then they don't Skype or Zoom, Luke, whatever you want to call it,
whatever you want to call it.
FaceTime,
yeah. They do the rainbow message.
They're supposed to be the cool, like, you have to like do it through Iris in the rainbow. Like, that could have been such a cool
gold
scene.
drachma and give it.
Could have been such a cool scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then they like leave,
and they're at some car wash, and they're like trying to angle the spray correctly.
It's so funny. It could have been such a funny scene, and they left that out, and they're like, nah, they'll just FaceTime them. It's fine.
We'll just use the technology that none of them should have because it attracts monsters.
Yeah, but it's okay because Luke's
Luke's
got his dope setup, so
Luke's
we're good.
Cool.
How did he afford that dope setup? How did they get any of this?
It's a great question.
They're parentless
so many
children.
questions.
Like,
oh, and Luke gave him his shield.
Yeah,
he's not supposed to have that from Luke.
Not supposed to have that.
But they had to somehow get that lightning bolt into.
It's supposed to just show up in the backpack anyway.
I know.
Then they leave out the monster donuts.
I know.
Oh yeah.
Again, super fun. Like monster, like chain restaurants are like the Hydra, where like there's a ton of different heads and they just pop up out of nowhere.
Hilarious.
It's so funny.
There's so
funny.
much. So that's one of my honorable mentions, is just like in general, I miss the Percy's perspective of things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Percy is hilarious.
Yep.
Yes.
Just not only just like 12-year-old boy fashion. So it's like, imagine putting yourself in the mind of a 12-year-old boy. Like, it's just funny.
It is funny.
But then like he makes these comments and remarks, and then he starts noticing these things. And he's all like, huh. So I guess that's why blah blah blah. Because it's like, while there's very successful like demigods and stuff in the world, there are successful monsters also who are like passing as, you know, human or mortal or whatever. And it's so clever. It's just lots of clever stuff.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they left out so much of like the cool incorporation of Greek mythology into the modern world. And instead we're like, yeah, but they have technology. And I'm like, who cares? That's not fun. That's boring. We all have technology.
That's boring. Exactly. I would have been way more interested in Luke being that mentor to all of the lost, unclaimed children in the Hermes cabin than walking in on Luke playing COD with all of his cool technology.
Yes. Yep. That was a missed opportunity.
Which helps explain like why he's able to have such a bigger army.
Yep.
Yeah.
Later on.
And then couple more. The casino. They make it like a drug trip.
Which
they could do because they aged them up to 16. You couldn't have gotten away with that if they were 12.
Yep. You can't have 12-year-olds doing drugs, but 16-year-olds, time for a drug trip. It was
because the actors are 18. The actors aren't even 16. Like, they all look way too old.
They do.
Yeah. And like, it was a fun scene. Don't get me wrong. It was hilarious watching Grover dance.
Yes.
But that's not what the scene is at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at all. And they just like were like, yeah, a casino, you know, and they went they clung onto casino and took that and forgot about the fact that it's also
thinking
like
child casino. It's a casino aimed
for children.
Yeah.
Think of the children.
Like, it's just a ton of video games and like Grover is not this womanizer
and free food.
Listen,
I'm gonna get to Grover. Don't you worry.
I know.
We're gonna get there.
And then another part that I understand, like they probably cut this one for time's sake, though who knows at this point. I love the bed scene. I just love.
Okay.
Oh yes,
scene.
I love that too.
It's so fun. The stretchy, I'll just stretch you to fit, or I'll chop off the ends to make you fit on the bed. I was like, this is such a fun interpretation.
It is
of this classic Greek like monster.
That
like,
wasn't in the movie at all.
No. They just show up for the Hollywood sign. I'm
That's ridiculous.
Oh, okay. And then we go from there to this other big part, which we kind of touched on before with like
we're kind of getting into honorable mentions now.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like a modern storefront. It's not like this creepy cave where like this hooded guy is standing on the boat being all intimidating. It's supposed to be like you go into like a waiting room. It's like a typical waiting room. There's a bunch of people waiting. He's like standing in front of the elevator, like, sorry, you need money to go down. And then he's like, they like convince him, and he's like, yeah, put in like, see if I can get a pay raise. That'd be great.
Yes.
It's like funny and again, a modern take on these Greek myths. And the movie was like, no, it's the exact same as it's always been, just in Hollywood instead. And I'm like, that's so boring. I don't want that. I want fun, modern takes on Greek myths. That's the whole point of this book series.
Yes, it is.
So I could keep going, but I'll stop. But it's just essentially they added modern twists, but in the wrong way. When there was already so many modern twists in the book, they could have just
that were really clever.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's mine.
We'll do a couple honorable mentions, just because how can we not? Before we get to the main one, and we've of course have already kind of scattered some honorable mentions throughout.
Yes.
But
there's so much.
There's a lot. But I'd say a big one for me that could be considered minor is Riptide. Okay, so they never name his sword, first of all, which like really bothers me, because as soon as something has a name, then like it has feelings. Okay, like, how dare you do that to Riptide?
Yep.
But also the fact that they made it a click pen instead of a lid, like a cap.
I hate it.
Because
really,
if it's a clicky pen, once it's a sword, how do you make it a pen again? The logic doesn't follow.
Nope.
Whereas when it's a sword, you put the cap of the pen on the tip of the sword, and it magically transforms back down to a pen. There's some logic behind the magic there, okay?
Also, it's a lot harder for like in your pocket for the lid of a pen to come off. What if you accidentally put that stuff in your pocket?
And
that was the day I lost my leg.
Yes.
It's like the Harry Potter thing. Sorry, go back. Mad Eye Moody's like, don't stick your wand in your back pocket. You're gonna lose your buttock. Like, don't stick your clicky pen sword in your pocket.
Well, or the fact that it's a magic clicky pen sword that if you lose it, it'll magically reappear. How many times in the movie does he get separated from his sword and then he's just like, oh, I'm helpless? It's like, no, reach in your freaking pocket again. It's magic. It'll just be there. Like, it's magic. Like, it's Riptide. Like, it's your friend. He's your ally. Like, really, really
lovely.
My feelings were hurt on the behalf of Riptide's feelings. So.
Poor Riptide.
Yeah.
Poor Riptide. Is someone, I guess I think Steph's going to talk about that part with the fact that they skipped straight to Percy, like being in Poseidon's hut.
Yes.
Okay.
That's going to be a big part of what I talk about.
Okay. So I'm skipping those ones.
Yeah.
We've already talked about how Annabeth sucks. Sorry.
Yeah. She kind of does.
We mentioned that like the cast could have been great.
Yeah.
Could have been.
And would have been the right cast if we had made this movie 5 years earlier when they were younger. And if they had either given Annabeth a convincing wig or dyed her hair blonde.
Yeah.
I have as an honorable mention that Percy's control of his powers is a little bit too much for this point in the story.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Here,
like
Annabeth, let me just heal your arm with my cool water magic.
Yeah,
like, no.
the way it starts.
It works.
I know the way it starts when he's underwater for 7 minutes. Everyone's like, "How did you do that?" I'm like, bro, he starts to realize that water heals him like later on. Like we don't need to.
And it's like an accident that he realizes he can
Yes.
breathe underwater because he is forced underwater so long
He's
that
drowning.
he has to take a breath, and then he's like, "Oh no, wait, I'm fine."
Yep. But nah, in high school, he just could breathe for 7 minutes underwater.
It's not that he can hold his breath for forever. It's that he can breathe underwater.
Yep.
Like
You don't just
blow over. It's high school. Stupid.
That bugs me so much. I can't.
Yeah.
And even in the fight scene when he's able to like burst the water and
Water
like move
fountain.
water around, like that was not until
Emotional.
like the fourth, I think the third or fourth book where he's able to like move water and stuff. Like he gets better, like he gets stronger in his powers.
In the first book, when he does do that kind of like really,
it's only water spurts.
Water, but
it's like breaking a pipe.
It's when his emotions are like
on a high,
really hyped up, or like he feels like super in danger because he's cornered by Clarice and a bunch of her cronies, and he's cornered, and it's like a last ditch effort thing where he's like, "Oh wait, how did I burst all those pipes? Like, wait, where'd all this water come from?" You know what I mean? Like, it's when he's so hyped up that he's not even really in control. He just does it. Like, yeah. There's no control there. It's lack of.
That was one that I had.
A big one. Yeah, a big one that I had was they're supposed to mail Medusa's head to Olympus, which I think is the funniest thing. Best Percy move. Like,
especially as a 12-year-old.
Snarky.
As a 12-year-old, you just kind of be all like, "F you, Olympus." Like,
it really is. It's kind of like middle finger to Olympus, where he's like, "Here, have this head of Medusa. How do you like me now?"
Right.
And so they're not supposed to have the head of Medusa the whole time, like in the weird motel scene where Grover's like, "Oh, I should have closed the blinds." Like, no.
So dumb.
Which that motel scene is also terrible. That was not good either.
That was not good either. No.
Also, I just have to mention there's which makes about that whole atrocity of the scene later. There's this part where Annabeth comes around the corner, suddenly has like arrows and a bow, and I was like, where did those come from? Like 2 seconds.
Especially because Annabeth is not the master of all weapons.
I know.
They had to put
suddenly she's like,
they had to like put that character of Clarice into her. I'm like, why?
Yeah,
she's good with knives. That's what Annabeth's like specialty is. And then strategy. So like, it's the brain thing because she's the daughter of Athena.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway,
so bad. This movie is so bad. The movie is so bad. Just
or another part, sorry, I just have to mention the bad parts. When they're leaving the casino, I just stopped caring because Grover is running just like straight up like a normal person. Like, I was like, they just didn't care at that point anymore. He's not running like a goat. He's running like a person.
Even if I try really hard to separate the book from like the movie from the book and look at it as just a like, okay, oh my gosh, my microphone's about to fall off my desk. Okay. But even if you like look at it as like a completely separate thing, it's still not good. Like, you look at the beginning and it's like, what, Mom? Is it the dyslexia or the ADHD? Like, it's like show don't tell. You're a movie, and you're literally doing a lot of telling. Like,
Yep.
There's so much exposition in the whole film that I'm just
and
like,
they just shortcut after shortcut.
Yeah, and I was telling Steph yesterday when we watched it. Was it yesterday? Friday?
Yeah, I think it was. No, it was 2 days ago.
Friday.
2 days ago.
Anyways, we watched it together and over Zoom, not together, but you know what I mean. Anyways,
Yeah.
I was like, this is very fast paced. Like, and I've seen it before, and I was like, yeah, this is a good movie. But now that I've like really read the text again, refresh myself, and then watch the movie, I was like, this is like super fast. Like, it's just coming at you the whole time.
It's like, yeah, action,
Well,
action.
I even watched the movie. I watched the movie before I reread the book, and it actually has been a few years since I last read Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. So, like, if there was ever going to be like this is the cleanest slate that my mind will ever be going into this movie kind of thing. And it was still so hard for me to to endure. And it's like, even if there are parts of the book that are a little hazy at this point, because it had been a while.
Mm-hmm.
They're huge
still
parts.
Just from a general, like, is this movie good? Like, general, like, rules of making a good movie. Like, they don't follow that outline. Like, it's not good. Like, I just, it's hard. It's a rough one for me. So.
She has feelings.
I have a lot of feelings.
Yeah, the very last note that I made at the end of the movie was, thanks, I hate it.
Thanks, but no thanks.
It's so
cool. Bad. Never gonna watch this again.
No.
So and honestly, I think this was the first time I watched it since I watched it in theaters. Like, I saw it in theaters and I was like, that was horrible. Never again. Like,
want to know a fun fact? I own this movie.
I have it too.
Do you?
I own it as well. I own that one and the second one.
I
Disney Plus.
Nice.
But I did watch it on Disney Plus because I don't know where my DVD is, but it is. But I know I own it.
No, I'm not giving them my money on
I
this
could keep going for hours on
I'm not giving them my money.
But
maybe when the Disney Plus series comes out. Yeah, we do need to move on. You're right.
We should move into our number one.
I'm pretty sure. So we'll talk about this at the end, I'm assuming, but I'm pretty sure Disney is making it a Disney Plus series. Like,
yeah, it's a
TV
series,
show,
which I'm so excited about.
Yeah,
they can do it justice.
Trying to keep my hopes down.
Yep. That's what you got to do.
That way they can't be popped.
Yeah.
The thing is,
because I think Disney already did the movies, didn't they?
I thought
no,
so.
it was Fox.
Or was it 20th century?
I think they got the rights to it afterwards. But Rick,
because I know the books are all now
involved.
public. They all say Disney, like
correct.
Yeah,
Disney, they're all Disney.
Yeah, they bought them afterwards.
Bought by Disney. So.
But I think the fact that Rick is like getting us hyped for this one makes me think he's more involved, which makes me think it's gotta be better
because he was not involved at all in the movies, and it showed.
And you can tell.
It showed.
Come on, Rick, don't let us down again. So
good old Rick.
All right, are we jumping into our
yeah, go ahead and take us away with your number one, Devin.
Sweet deal. So my number one is essentially just Luke's betrayal.
Ooh.
And how bad it is.
And how rushed it is. And
yeah, like they're not at camp. He doesn't have a scorpion. They're flying over the city. It's just I don't know. I'm not a fan. I don't like that they made Luke
no words
so bad in this one. Like, you're supposed to not trust Luke, and you're supposed to not like him, but not like, oh, you're the bad guy now.
Yep.
No, he's still a sympathetic villain even later on in the books.
Right.
In the movie, they do not do a good job at that.
No, I agree. So that's it. That's all I got.
Well, but I think kind of like what we mentioned earlier too, where it's like in the book you see this true leader of the camp. Everybody adores Luke. Luke is there for everyone. Doesn't matter whether your godparent has claimed you or not. Like, he's going to take care of you. The only thing they even hint at in the movie is when he first comes out, he goes, "Son of Hermes, leader of camp."
Right.
Yep.
Okay,
not necessarily
great. Seems kind of like an asshole to me. Oh, sorry. It's kind of like a jerk.
No. Facts.
Like for real.
And then
like,
that is further proven with his total like douchebag nature of I'm a gamer, bro, and I have
come into my badge
and
pad, man.
All day. Like
no.
Real quick.
Can't.
Also, they're not supposed to like suspect Luke at all until
like the third one.
No. Like in the very, very end, when he pulls out the scorpion and Percy almost dies. Like obviously that's a big
They
betrayal.
still have like hope for him. You know what I mean? Like because like Annabeth, which they don't talk about either, the whole journey
she's supposed to be in love with him.
Yeah, and like how he helped her get to the camp in the first place. Like none of that's there. So like even after he betrays Percy, she's hurt by it, but she's still like, no, there's got to be more to this. There's got to be more to this. Yeah, like they don't truly suspect him for being as evil as he is until like the third book or something. That's when they're finally like, okay, there might not be hope for this guy. Like,
yeah. And like the fact that it's Annabeth who like immediately is like, yeah, Luke betrayed us, and you know he gave you that so that you could bring it to Hades. And I'm like, there's so many things wrong with this.
Yes.
Oh, now you want to be the strategist?
yeah. Big brain energy over there now, Annabeth.
Yeah.
Brain blast.
It's not good. See, the movie's just not good.
It's not good. Outright.
Oh man.
But yeah, so I think they just did a disservice to his character.
Yep.
And they didn't make his betrayal like feel something.
Yeah.
It's supposed to. They're
like,
supposed to.
I didn't
have
feel
that camaraderie
hurt by it.
Yeah.
No.
I
wasn't
when
invested
I first read
in
this book, and that happened. I was shook.
Yeah.
Like, when he was talking with Luke, I was like, yeah.
And he brings like the Coca-Cola cans with him.
Like, what?
Yeah, and the scorpion is
well,
supposed
you know
to, like,
that whole thing.
Don't move or I'll kill you.
The prophecy's like, yeah, someone's gonna betray you, and the whole time he's like, and I'm thinking, oh, it's got to be like Annabeth or Grover, someone really like that's close to him, and then it's like Luke, and you're like, just didn't expect it. Yeah, like something crazy, and then it's just like Luke, and it's like in the movie, you don't. I don't know. You're right. It's just sort of like, oh,
you're not mad
because
him.
you expect that the prophecy should be over at that point.
Yep.
Like and then it comes into the fruition.
And they talk about how it might be Ares. They're like, oh, maybe it was like Ares who betrayed you, because he did kind of betray him, because he's the one that gave him the backpack that ended up having the lightning bolts in it. So you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, so that was it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
but you don't believe that the prophecy is still continuing. You think that it's like the quest is over, end of story, and then
well, shall we move on?
Yes.
Dang it, Luke. So my main problem, and this is actually something that at first I thought was kind of cool, and then I realized how much it screwed up in the story. So, is how involved the gods are in their kids' lives. So at first I'm like, oh, Poseidon, kind of hot. We don't get like, he's kind of a hot dude. Like we don't really get the perspective of like Zeus, Poseidon. I was like, this is kind of cool. And then you realize like Poseidon like loves Percy, and like his mom says, I wrote down the quote, and this is what gave me this as like my least favorite thing. She says, leaving you was probably the most difficult thing he ever did. This is a god. Like, this is not the most difficult thing he's ever done.
Has been around for forever and has produced many of an illegitimate child.
Many a child.
In the book, they literally say they don't really have a lot of time to deal with their kids. And like sometimes Poseidon like sends a sign or two. And it's kind of cool because it's like, why isn't he really engaging with Percy? And it kind of like is a little mysterious. And then as Percy like learns more, you learn more with him. But in this movie, it's like, immediately off the bat, the gods are like obsessed with like their kids and the quests they're on. And I'm like, this does not make realistic sense for a bunch of gods, especially Zeus and Poseidon. And I don't know, like I do like getting a little bit of the backstory in the beginning, but then at the end, Poseidon is like, there's some rule that I can't communicate with you now because of something that I did. And I didn't really fully understand that. But where did that come from?
So that was their way of trying to include, without actually alluding to and including, the actual prophecy, which was the big three need to stop having kids because of this prophecy,
which is the actual
one of their
rule.
children will bring around the end of the world, you know, like.
And
so
I'm like, it's
the reason he got in trouble and can't interact with Percy is because he wasn't supposed to have Percy. Like,
yes, completely different. And that bugs me. Like, it wouldn't have been so hard to just follow the book. Like, those are just things that are lingering. Those rules already exist. You don't have to make up some BS rule. Oh, sorry, I wasn't around. Zeus told me I couldn't be with my kid because some reason.
And especially because Zeus is not the boss. They're called the big three for a reason. Zeus, they have their different domains. Poseidon, the water, Zeus, the air, and Hades, the underworld.
Yep.
Zeus cannot boss Hades and Poseidon around.
Yeah.
They're brothers. They're all, you know, kings in their own right. And they argue about things.
Yeah.
One of them cannot just decree something to the other.
Can't be close with your kid. It's a rule. Okay.
I said so.
It's a rule. But here's the other thing, Taylor, you were going to say this before, is there was a huge part in the beginning where people were like, he might be a son of the big three. And then Poseidon gives him a sign and it's like, oh, cool. He's Poseidon's son. But like in the book, he like shows up to camp and they're like, here's your hut on the water. You are clearly Poseidon's son. Here's a trident.
Yeah.
Like
there's like a trident right here. Like, oh my gosh, Poseidon's my dad. And Chiron's just like, yes, he is.
Yeah, it's like, what the heck is that? Like, so
and that his father made the cabin for him.
Yeah. Oh, he loves me so much. He's gonna provide this like beautiful beachside home for me. Like, I can't. I cannot
don't
deal.
Explain why he gets the whole cabin to himself.
Nope.
Because the big three aren't supposed to be. Yeah, it's just
it's a big mess. And I think
Fairy's only there for one day before he leaves anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
But like they also don't cover like the loneliness that Percy feels and like how he's always felt like an outsider. And then when he was in Hermes' cabin, he was like, oh, I'm part of something.
Or
like,
that he gets expelled every freaking year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because of weird monster related things that he can't make sense of yet.
Yep.
Yeah. And they're like, nah, he's just in this big cabin by himself and he's chill with it.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's important. Like, it's important because when Tyson comes into play, like that's another one of Poseidon's kids. It's like, oh, sorry, I don't want to like spoil anything, but ultimately,
this is
like,
not a spoiler-free podcast.
Yeah, people gotta know. You gotta know at this point. But like the thing is, it's just like it's such a huge thing that you wouldn't think is a huge thing, but the relationship that the gods have with their demigod children, if you break the way that relationship works, it's an entirely different story. It's an entirely different world. So I don't know. It just really pissed me off.
Yeah.
I mean, you're essentially breaking the whole universe of what like Percy Jackson exists inside of.
Right.
Exactly.
And how Greek gods work in general.
And it makes the gifts less cool because like when he would receive something, his dad is like, this is a big deal moment for you. Like, this is why I'm sending it to you because clearly you're going through something. In the movie, it's like,
also, can we talk about this? Just like the voice in his head.
Oh yeah, his dad talking.
Everything's about to change now. Prepare for your
stupid.
It's like, okay.
He's like on the stairs of the museum. Like,
but they had no inclusion of Kronos. They could do that, but no inclusion of Kronos.
Naturally. Makes
talking
no
to
sense.
him.
He's hearing this voice on the stairs to the museum, but it's like, this is normal. This
I can breathe underwater for 7 minutes. I can hear random voices. It's fine.
But it's not until I see the theory that I'm like, should I be medicated?
Yep. Wait a minute.
You were just hearing voices on the stairs and you didn't think you were.
Yep.
It's fine.
Oh man.
Okay. Well, so my number one is just the dynamic of the main three characters and the friendship there. And as I already mentioned, I think the age change, the aging up of the cast heavily impacted these relationships.
Right.
But there's more to it than that too. So, I mean, first of all, I'll address the main thing, which was affected by the age. By being 16 immediately, they were like, ooh, let's make them, let's add sexual tension right away.
Yes.
And it's like,
So weird.
No, they're 12.
It's weird.
Don't get me wrong. We have crushes as young as like first grade. Don't get me wrong. Like you feel some form of attraction, I guess, at whatever age, but like you don't act on it. You don't do anything about it when you're 12. Like, and you're way more awkward about it. So instead you're going to focus on the rivalry aspect and the building of the friendship and trying hard to just work together, because that's all their relationship is between Percy and Annabeth in the first book is despite their differences aiming to work together to go to beat this quest and get through things.
And it's not until the very end that Annabeth's like
end of the
maybe
series
you're not so bad.
Like it's such a slow burn. The fact that they make them kiss at the end of this movie drove me insane. Okay.
No, they didn't kiss.
They didn't
kiss, did they?
Don't they?
I think there's a moment of
she's about to kiss him and then she steals his sword. And then
okay, that's what it is. Stupid. I don't care. Still stupid. It takes 5 books for anything like that to happen. Okay. Like, because
that's not true.
There's something.
They kiss in like the
fourth one.
Fourth.
Yeah.
Labyrinth.
They kiss before the end.
Muchos many books.
Muchos many books.
Okay?
Muchos books.
It's not immediate. And it's the fact that they have a solid foundation as friends before the romance starts to blossom.
Right.
It's important to me. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, not to mention, then you add in Grover, who is just as nerdy and like quote unquote a loser as Percy is, which is why it makes sense that they would be friends at these, many schools, right?
And
that
who already
Percy's
has
had to go
horns.
through.
Yeah,
I don't have my horns yet. You're a satyr. Of course you have horns. You grow them as part of your anatomy. Like, they're just tiny because you're a young satyr. It's fine. But Grover in the book is like dorky and like adorable and easily clumsy and like and clumsy because he's got goat legs and
not crutches.
No issues. Yeah, he's just clumsy.
He just walks like with a limp.
With like a limp. So here's the thing: I have no issue
with heavy this episode.
I have no issue with him making I thought it was cool when I first saw the casting choice. Oh, cool! They made Grover black. That's awesome. Inclusion, diversity. That's important.
If they were gonna make a character black, I think Grover was a great choice.
Yeah,
because I think that his description isn't super specific. So definitely, I was like, oh yeah,
curly hair
for sure.
We can take curly hair in loads of directions. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But then and I almost feel like the movie was almost a little bit racist in this way. Because they're let's make Grover black and then let's make him a ladies' man and totally chill and blah blah.
That's a great
point. It was almost the stereotypical black character. He was just the token black guy. And I hated that. I was like, make Grover black, but then keep him nerdy and clumsy.
The way that Grover is.
Easily flustered, the way that Grover is. Because who cares what color his skin is? He can still have those character and personality traits.
Right.
Why did they then also completely shift Grover's personality?
They did,
and made him this womanizing, flirtatious, just
those are the daughters of Aphrodite. I gotta go get some of that.
Oh hey baby, no, oh my god,
that is not Grover.
They're supposed to be 12. There's no womanizing happening.
Grover's not 12. He's a little. I mean, he's a satyr.
But he looks,
it's a little different.
Satyrs age differently, but he's still an adolescent. He passes as 12, 13.
Yeah.
But also Grover's awkwardness is what then lends itself to when he eventually does have a relationship. It's so precious and sweet.
It's an endearing and adorable.
Because
he gets with this tree nymph later on and it's so cute.
They're so cute and awkward together.
And they just ruin it. But then again, so they change They make all these personality changes by like merging Clarice and Annabeth together. They make all these personality changes to Grover. They age all of them up and then throw them together like they're still supposed to be like three best pals on a mission, and it doesn't work.
Nope,
like, it just doesn't.
The chemistry is not there.
The chemistry is not there, even though they're really heavy-handed with trying to force some romantic chemistry between Percy and Annabeth.
Right.
And it comes across as just that. Force.
Yep. I'm actually shocked. Like when I was reading the books, I was shocked at how little, like even an inkling of romantic feeling is talked about until like the end of the second book, almost when he like loses, when he's about to lose her.
She's very pretty.
Yeah.
When he first sees her. And then they interact more. And then he's
there's
like,
a lot of like,
gosh,
ooh,
so
cute,
annoying.
like cooties kind of feeling. Like they have
and it
like
makes sense. It like makes sense for a 12, 13-year-old like to be going through that and then eventually realize your feelings. I feel like having that sexual tension from the moment they lock eyes. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. But the moment that they lock eyes, they're like, It's like, okay,
who's that? Oh, she'll squash you like a bug. Okay, Grover, shut up.
Just because you couldn't get any.
It's just like, I can't. So,
just can't do
the
it.
The potential was so good, and then what happened was just really bad.
Just not.
Agreed.
So yeah, that's my number one. Taylor, take us away with probably the major one.
Yeah, here we go. So let's talk about.
Buckle in, everybody.
The entire plot of the movie.
Yes.
The premise itself.
Like, I don't know. So in the book, we'll talk about the book first. Percy, like demigods, essentially receive official quests from the gods. And that's a really big deal when it happens, because it's like, whoa, like you're being tasked, just like in traditional mythology. When
Hercules, Perseus,
with quests from the gods, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is the same. And so then he gets this official quest to go retrieve the lightning bolt from the
Hades,
underworld,
because they all believe Hades already has
Hades took it. It's not Hades showing up in camp being like, hey, I have your mom, bring me the lightning bolt.
And I am some weird demon angel thing, which is not Greek
spooky
mythology at all.
That thing is so scary.
Christian imagery. Like,
and so then
sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
I'm just mad.
I'm just mad.
The quests are a matter of pride. In the second one, when he has to give up the quest to Clarice, it's like a big deal because it's like something that either one of them can take on, and then it's assigned to her. And so like the whole idea of the quest, it's like destined for you to either succeed or fail in this way. And that's why it's like sort of annoying that he just sort of like, oh, I'm just going to run off and do this like on the side. It's not a quest.
Yeah, I know Chiron told me to stay here, but I need them. But
nah.
I'm good to go.
How about nah?
And the thing is that he's 12. He hasn't been at the camp for a super long time. He may not be super bought in to the whole like Greek gods and like pride of the camp and stuff quite yet.
Yep.
But then there is still that facet of my mom's down there. Yeah. And there's that extra driving force to make him accept it because what he doesn't care about the lightning bolt. He just cares about his mom. Like,
right.
But it's this whole different thing where people aren't chasing him down to get the lightning bolt. You know, people don't think
they're chasing him down because he's a Greek god and they're monsters.
Yeah.
How it works.
And then there's here we go. There's no stupid pearl quest. I hate it so much.
I know.
I agree. And there's
no
a Hydra
magic map.
The Hydra.
And there just happens to be this magic map that leads them to every one of these pearls that Persephone hides for some reason.
Right, exactly.
So like they get the pearls from Luke. Like, yes, that's what happens. And then they go on this quest. Giving a thumbs up. They go on this quest to California because they know LA is where the entrance to the underworld is, somewhere there. And then they happen to, throughout their time, naturally come across all of these places.
Across the country. Yeah, the country.
Like, I hate that the movie is like, okay, we're just gonna have a map that tells them exactly where to go. Yep. And then we'll just follow those points, and then we can just like boop, 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 done.
Fine.
Like that's too easy. I don't know.
Way too
like
calculated.
It just seems kind of like it's more fun to have them like happen across Medusa. Not that they like had to go there to get a pearl. Like they just happen to end up at her shop, and she feeds them burgers, and then they have to defeat her. And it's like, oh, we just defeated Medusa along the way. Like that was just a crazy thing that happened. And then they end up at the Lotus. Like they stop by the Parthenon because Annabeth is like this nerd who loves Greek history and stuff. And it's like, I need to see it. I need to see it.
What about the Ares quest? Did that happen in the movie?
No.
Because there's no Ares.
I guess you're right, but that
you
was
see
so
him
fun.
for like 2 seconds on Olympus. That's it.
Yeah, I think it was so fun when they like went to that water park or whatever.
They go in the Love Boat, and they're like, "I'm not going on the Love Boat with you."
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Like
then the spiders, and then
yes,
Annabeth
and then you learn about Annabeth's fear of spiders because of her mom's history with Arachna, and like it's like such this cool like quest and discovery, and it's more your typical like adventure quest where they like happen to go and they find these places along the way and have to make their way to this final destination where they have to find the entrance to the underworld. They're not like, yep, it's next to the Hollywood sign.
And here it is.
This magic map told me. Like it's too easy. And so it just kind of feels dumb.
Yeah, and they took out the Chimera,
like,
but they added in the Hydra, which I thought was an interesting choice.
Hydra comes in later.
Second one?
Second or third.
Yeah.
Book.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they do run into a Hydra. They don't turn him to stone with the Medusa head in the middle of this public building. That's not going to raise questions.
But that's another thing that I know this is kind of an honorable mention that I forgot to mention, but like glamour, like right from the get-go, Poseidon walks out of the ocean as some giant Greek lord, and the fisherman sees him and just drops his fishing pole. And like Poseidon doesn't even care. Like, no, they don't even talk about like the mist that covers the eyes of mortals, so that like they don't see things the same way that, you know, somebody with Greek blood would see it.
Yep.
And then you get the, you know, later on with the few mortals who can see through the mist, and then they're candidates to become the oracle. You know what I mean? Like none of that's there.
No. So I was like,
sorry, my iPad just popped up a 10% battery warning, and everything went black for a second.
Lovely. So. You're good.
I'm gonna grab a charger while Taylor keeps talking.
They literally changed like everything about like the underlying plot of the movie. Like, yeah, they still go to a lot of the same places. That's all the same. But they were like, wouldn't it be more fun if this was like Dora the Explorer?
Yeah.
And they had to collect things along the way.
Kaley, I see Kaley's reaction in the back.
I'm the map.
I'm the map. I was literally singing that in my head.
Literally, that's what it is.
Dora the Explorer type of adventure.
My dog agrees with me. I just thought it was like they made it like so basic. Like they thought that the audience couldn't keep up with just a normal quest. They were like, we need to explain it and have like clear points along the way. Like, this is why we're going here. It's like, no, trust your audience that we get.
Aged up our characters, but dumbed down how they go on the
quest.
Seriously.
Like it drives me nuts that they like, hold on, Max, hold on.
Oh, the puppy
dog is waking up. It just drives me nuts that they added this stupid Pearl quest when it was already a cool storyline. There was already so much they could have done with like the Ares stuff, and they were like, nah, what if they don't get the pearls right away and they have to go get them along the way? That's a way better storyline than this popular book.
Get rid of this storyline. Let's put a new storyline in. It's not like we're cutting out time. We're just replacing it. It's like, I don't understand. I don't understand the mentality.
The whole, like, they spend like a good few minutes with Percy just sitting underwater doing nothing. I'm like, you could have cut that out and added in something more important.
Yep.
Fair.
So overall, my biggest complaint is the whole thing. I hate the whole movie.
This movie's an abomination.
I hate it.
It's horrible.
Yep. So honestly, yeah, I could go on for another probably 2 hours about every detail that they screwed up. But if you want to, experience it for yourself, watch the movie, read the book, and you too can be as angry as we are.
I don't remember if I talked to you about this or not, but have you listened to or seen the musical?
Yes. The musical is better than this movie. The musical is way better than the movie. The musical is great.
Is much better.
Oh my.
I saw it twice. So I saw it in like a local theater. Like they were like on their tour. So I saw it when they were on tour. Then I also saw it on Broadway when it was on for like the select few months, because I just enjoyed it so much. The music, so good. So good.
Dang, I gotta look this up.
And it's funny. It brings back the humor that you significantly and seriously miss in this movie.
Yeah.
Part of the reason that Percy is one of my favorite characters, same as Harry, is the snark.
Because they're both sarcastic, snarky, angsty
preteen boy snark.
I love it.
It's great.
I eat that up.
Yep. It's so funny.
And I think there was even times where they were like talking bad about the movie, like not in the musical, but like the creators were like, ours is much better than yours.
Throw shade.
As they should, funny. Because it's not great.
Yeah, it's really funny.
So please read the book.
Please.
Don't care if you watch the movie.
Yeah, you can all tell where we're at here. I originally thought that the movie was good. I thought it was like, at least not good, but at least like, oh, this is like, if I was just to watch this on its own,
that's what I thought too, until I rewatched it.
And then I rewatched it just as recently. I was like, this is not good.
I've never once thought that this movie could stand alone.
I think it's because Devin and I both owned it, so we were trying to justify
our purchasing
our
of it.
Yes.
I can justify that, like Harry Potter movies, right? Like, if you've never read the Harry Potter books and you watch the Harry Potter movies, those movies are amazing.
Yeah,
for sure.
You read the books and watch the movies, and you have some complaints, but the movies are so good.
I think even if they're not, even movies that they did poorly with Harry Potter, or even the worst versions of the Harry Potter movies are still good movies. They're still quality things to watch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I wish I would have watched the Percy Jackson movie before I read the book, because I would have had a completely blank slate.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I should have done it, but here we are. I'm ruined already.
Ruined.
We ruined it. So we have no time for fan faux pas. So we'll probably just cover fan faux pas in our mini-sode.
Come back.
Yeah. When everybody moved around. Okay.
Sorry. Sorry,
And
my
then
dog just closed Zoom.
it's fine. As long as the recording didn't get interrupted.
It's still going. We're good.
Okay.
we're good.
But yeah, so we'll do our fan faux pas for this book / movie in our mini-sode next week.
Mini-sode, yeah.
So that leaves the age-old question, which I believe we've answered 10 times over already. But was the book better?
Yes.
No. Oh, well, sorry. Yes. Sorry.
Devin.
Devin,
no.
Devin was answering
is the movie better, and I already had
Devin's
in my head no. But that's not the podcast is.
Just read the book. I plead with anyone out there who was like me and waited too long, just don't even bother watching the movie. Just read the book.
It's such a quick read too. Like it's meant for
because it's a mid-grade novel.
Hard.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
but it's funny
and very creative. I don't know how I feel about it exploding and having several different introducing
it's never ending now.
I don't know how I feel about that. Like I don't know if they're watering down content and stuff. I haven't read any of the extra one, like they're
actually pretty decent. They're actually pretty good.
Okay,
I must admit
that's good.
They did a really good job.
I really like, because I mean, this is its own thing a little bit, right? Where it's like Kane Chronicles, Egyptian mythology, totally different. You don't need to connect it. But when you look at like Roman gods, you know, like versus Greek gods, they do stem off of the Greek gods. And I lost an headphone. So like, I feel like it would have been like, it wouldn't have been fair to just create a Roman god series without acknowledging
to my knowledge,
Greek gods
they have,
and the characters that they already exist.
They have Greek, Egyptian, Norse.
Oh,
Kaley's gone.
I wonder if her iPad died.
Maybe.
That's too funny. She said that she
All right, well, we'll just
keep going. Yeah. I think I might have to hop off soon too.
And okay, yeah, we're almost back.
Yeah, we'll keep going. Keep going with your thought, girl.
It's fine.
Yeah, so they have a Greek one, they have a Roman one, they have an Egyptian one, they have a Norse one, they have a couple other ones. Hey, no.
Notice me.
All of them main ones.
That's all the main ones. And then they have one that's like the Trials of Apollo, which is like more off of the Greek because it's just Apollo being like made into immortal and like having to live as a human. It's actually pretty funny. But yeah.
Taylor's like, I've read all of them twice. No.
Yes. I never left my mythology phase, okay?
Cool.
Well,
that answers all of our questions.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
So much fun.
Oh, of course. Anytime. We have a blast with you guys.
Listen, this is not going to be the last time that we ship it on.
No.
But yeah, go check them out.
We're looking forward to having you on as well.
Yep. Yes, we're so excited.
It'll be fun to just focus on
the
book
books.
Relationship.
Yes.
Yep.
Annabeth and Percy. So
the best relationships.
Yeah. So go ahead and check out We Ship It. It's just We Ship It podcast on all socials. If you search We Ship It podcast on Apple, Spotify, anything, they pop up.
Go party.
They're a lot of fun. They've collabed with like other podcasters. They have different guest hosts like come on and join them as they discuss different ships. And it's just such a clever idea. And I just think it's really fun. I enjoy it a lot.
Thank you.
So.
We enjoy you guys.
It's so fun. We made podcast friends when we started this podcast.
I love podcast friends.
Something I did not think would, come from us starting this. It's like we suddenly have all these like Bookstagram and podcast friends. It's great.
That's what it'll do to you. And it's so much fun. Like we're all a community. So
yeah,
it's great. So thank you for joining us. Next week, our mini-sode will be just further talking about just the mythological world of Rick Riordan. And we'll also share the Phantopause that we couldn't share this episode. And then in 2 weeks time, we're just going to move it right along with the next book in the Percy Jackson series.
Sea of Monsters.
And it's going to get harder and harder to talk about.
Yep.
Because again, the book series is 5 books and they shortened and tried to wrap everything up in the movie series in just 3. And so the differences are just going to get insane. So I don't even know how we're going to address everything.
Lovely.
It should be fun. Should be a ride. So come along with us. But thank you so much for joining in, guys. And we hope that everybody has a great week.
Yeah.
And don't forget to read.